Hey guys, the purpose of this video is to talk a little bit about what a reference guide is. A lot of the things that you encounter when you're citing sources are reference guides, and I want to talk about what they are and how to use them. As if you are using a reference guide correctly, then there's never going to be a reason that you would need to memorize any kind of formatting style. So that means not memorizing MLA, not memorizing APA. What matters the most is that you know how to read a reference guide and use it for your purposes, and particularly for our class. So what is a reference guide? First of all, it's dependent upon the citation style that you're working in. Some reference guides are comprehensive and they give you multiple different citation styles, like our little seagull, which has I think 4 citation styles in it. Other reference guides are made only for one formatting style, like MLA or APA or something like that. Every reference format or every citation format has its own way of formatting source material and papers and things like that. And there is a governing body of people who make those types of decisions. So there is definitely a leading place to go in terms of reference guides. And then there are kind of like secondary reference guides where publishing companies have grabbed the information and put it into a book. So for example, our textbook, The Little Seagull, is a reference guide, but it is not published by the Modern Language Association or MLA. It's published by Pearson, and so they have collected information from MLA, which is an actual, again, body of people who make decisions about the MLA style. They've got information and they put it into the book that they publish then for students. In the same sense, the website that you're seeing here on my screen is one of the other most trusted online reference guides that's free to use. This comes from Purdue University, and it's the Purdue OWL, or the Purdue Online Writing Lab. I'm here in the MLA page, and the reason I'm here is just because I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to show you something. And so anyway, reference guides can look very different. Really good reference guides are going to give you the template for a citation or the template for an in-text citation and an example. Whenever you're using a reference guide, it's really important. The first thing you have to do is know what kind of source you have. So if you're ready to sit down and cite a source and you know you're going to need a reference guide, first you have to figure out what kind of source do you have? Do you have a website? Do you have a page on a website? Do you have a newspaper article that was published online? What kind of source is it? A lot of the times there's some, overlap, and if you got the wrong source, it will probably be okay. But for example, if you are citing a scholarly article, but you cite it like a newspaper article, you're going to be missing a lot of necessary information. So it's really important first that you know what your source is. Then you can go to your reference guide and you can find the citation information for the source that you need to cite. So for example, if I'm looking at the Purdue OWL, and the same concept is true in our textbook, it's just of course looks a little bit different. If I'm in the Purdue OWL and I know that I am citing a book, then I would go to the books section of my reference guide. And in there, like I said, a really good reference guide is going to have a template for the citation and an example. Sometimes also they'll have some commentary, and so when you're looking at your reference guide, our little seagull does provide some little notes before the template and the example, and so it's really important to kind of look at those things. Here you'll notice that the basic book format gives us a template. This is just something where we could fill in the blanks. They say first put the last name, then you put the first name, then you put the title of the book, then you put the city of publication, the publisher, and the publication date. And you can see that we can look at some examples here. We have someone's last name, first name, the title of the book, the publisher, and the publication date. And in this case, it's just the year. So if we don't have the month and the day or access to that information, then that is perfectly fine. There are some other instances though where the example might actually give you more information than you would have in comparison with the template, or just a better understanding of what the template is trying to show you. So I'm going to see if I can find an example of that where the template might be a little bit confusing, but the example helps you better understand. Okay, so here is an example. This is the basic style for citing an electronic source, including online databases. And this gives you the author, the title of the container. So you might be thinking like, well, what exactly does that mean? Other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, all the way down to here where we see the date of access. Okay, so I want you to remember that this says date of access. Now, if we're looking at these examples, and of course, this is giving us the basic style, but then we have examples that kind of narrow each type of electronic source down. If I go to a page on a website, which I imagine is going to be what most of you all are looking at, you'll notice that even though the basic citation had all of these things like number, issue, other people involved, things like that, here in the examples we have the author's last name, first name, title of the page on the website name in italics, the URL, and then we have the word accessed and the date in which it was accessed. And so you notice that because of the nature of the source that we're looking at, we've taken out a lot of information, and so that's okay. The other thing is, because we looked at the example, we noticed that the example uses the word accessed. In our template, we just saw date of access. So if we didn't look at an example, we would not know that we needed to put accessed before the date. But because we looked at all of the information our reference guide had given us access to, we realized, oh, okay, I need to put the word accessed here. And so when you're looking at a reference guide, you know what kind of source you have, you know where to go in your reference guide. Make sure you're really looking at everything. A reference guide is really just kind of like a set of instructions without the step-by-step. The most important thing that I really want you to take away from this, and kind of what I'll end on here, is just that citing sources, whether it's an in-text citation or whether it's a citation on the works cited page, citing sources is all 100% about paying attention to the details. So what I mean is there a comma between the last name and the first name? How are the periods and quotation marks functioning in the title? Does the period come first? Does the quotation mark come first? What words in my citation are supposed to be italicized? Where do I put a period? Do I end the entire citation with a period? And so it's these little tiny things that will ensure that you get 100 for citation information that you're writing for me for your final paper. So hopefully this helps you better understand the concept of a reference guide and how to use it. And of course, if you have any questions, just let me know.